Thank you, everybody. Right after lunch, I'm going to be talking about developer experience with or without donuts. I'm going to make a food allegory every time. Sorry for some of the colors. I got inverted in dark mode here, but let's check out the talk when it changes slides. Let's see, was that 15 seconds? Did it autoplay fine? We're just testing it out, don't worry. So I'm the guinea pig.
Why did you break it, Ravi?
I know, I just looked at it. This is the story of my life. Why is there configuration drift? Robbie did it.
Full blame postmortem here.
If anybody knows what blameless culture is, I was around for blameful culture. Instead of saying the engineer, I'd be like, Ravi deleted root. Okay, how is that possible? All right, we'll try it again. So, developer experience versus or with donuts. It's really odd to be adversarial with donuts, but we'll try to do it in this talk. So we'll see if it progresses to the next one, which I cheated, and I had a slide about me because you're not able to introduce yourself, but I cheated. Can I progress it? Google Slides problem, don't worry. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so who am I? Hit spacebar. I got you. So who am I? Robbie Lockman. I have two quotes I always say. I'm currently the field CTO and VP of Customer Engineering at Shippa. Worked at a few firms who are sponsoring here, and never got anything right the first time. And so we're going to be talking about DX, developer experience, and donuts. Very appropriate talk after lunch. There's no donuts in here, so this is my fault also. So let's talk about this. So the first thing is, there we go. Who knows what a donut is? Show of hands. Or a clap. I'm going to steal from Amy's thing. Clap 17 times if you know what a donut is. Exactly 17 times. But anyhow, donuts are delicious. They bring out about good feelings about everything, right? But what is, unfortunately this didn't come out, the picture didn't come out right, but what is developer experience? Here's a SageMaker workflow that I've seen before, and it's not delicious. You cannot eat developer experience. In fact, it causes the opposite of pleasure sometimes. And so why is developer experience important? Either it's for you to make more money, right? Like, hey, you know what, we're able to build more features, and also have this more time. You know what, you want to be on the beach. You don't want to be in the office. And so DX is very important. So DX pillar one, the first one is usability. How easy is it to find what you have to do, right? So a lot of this is going to be centered around user experience. Can you eat a donut? So just remember, can you eat it? How easy to use? The second pillar of DX is findability. If you're a first-time user, in let's say in your CI/CD pipeline, are you able to deliver that functionality? Here's a map of the closest Krispy Kreme to here. This is a legitimate Google map. How easy is it for you to find a donut? How easy is it for you to find functionality? Credibility. I used to have a LimeWire versus like Spotify slide here, but donut-wise, is if you have to solve a problem, can you trust the underlying system to provide that functionality again? Or is it a donut or a bagel? It could be very sneaky sometimes. And so how do you go about measuring developer experience? There could be very many ways. You can interview the users, you can provide a heat map. Basically, it's finding user sentiment, but for folks who are developers, or with a measuring tape like this. Also, what does developer experience look like? Hint, it's a lot like user experience. So if you're a feature building engineer doing UX, if you're a DevOps or platform engineer, they will actually sound very similar, right? So let's look a little bit about measuring. First one is user journey mapping, right? So like, okay, we have user X has to deploy a product Y. You can actually build user journey maps. So saying, oh, from the start to the end, how efficient was it for your user to complete his or her journey? Again, and very similar in UX concepts. Second would be heat maps. Ironically, this is like Big Brother. You have to put screen recording software in somewhere, but hey, where are people typically clicking? Like, oh, I need to debug something. Is it in the most obvious spot that I'm looking to debug something or deploy something or delicious hot Krispy Kreme? Basically what good developer experience boils down to is safety. Here's my analogy, donuts in a glass, they're safe from the outside world. But basically, when you're trying to build developer experience, you're trying to build safety for iteration and also safety in your delivery. And so what is developer experience support? We kind of touched about this a little bit earlier. Developer experience supports velocity. Here are these people just chomping down at some, I think they're powder donuts. But really, you're supporting velocity, right? Why invest in it? You're supporting velocity on the team. And then my favorite question, are you a two-pizza team or a dozen donut team? If you're familiar with AWS's two-pizza team, I can eat a large donut by myself, so it's a team of two. I can't eat a dozen donuts by myself, so just think about how you just structure the team. And that is it. That's all I had in my 5-minute donut allegory talk. So hit me at Robbie Locke, one of the organizers here, and thank you so much, everybody, for coming to my night talk.
Hey everyone, so just a little bit of background. My name is Jade West. I'm a cybersecurity engineer and I work in the cloud security space. So today we're going to talk about some APIs. So the OWASP Foundation has this quote that pretty much says that APIs are going to be a critical part of your mobile, SaaS, or web applications, and they're found everywhere, customer-facing, partner-facing, and internal applications. So when it comes all down to it, they expose PII, other logic, and really in the end of it, it's going to be absolutely impossible to create new innovation if you're not securing your APIs. So we have seen so many different breaches across many companies, large, small, well-known, unknown, and they are just coming up time and time again in the last 5 to 10 years. So I do want to talk about a couple examples here. So the first happened to a tech company. So they had a issue in their video streaming API call. So pretty much there was no authentication. Anyone could change the parameter of video ID, erase someone else's video, and you could never recover it again. And then a couple other issues that we saw was going to be in some financial institutions. Once again, no authentication. People's credit scores and PII were being released with nothing more than a name or an address. Comment one I'm sure we've all heard about released 147 million people's social security numbers. And so this is why this is a huge issue. And the thing is, all of these companies had WAFs, API gateways, pen testing, but it's just not strong enough anymore. And the reason for this is the massive growth of APIs. So companies have thousands of APIs. 40% of them are about shadow APIs. So that means they're running with no one knowing what's happening. And the problem is nowadays, APIs are typically slow and low. When 5 years ago, they were one and done. So now people spend days and weeks inside of a system to discover what that is and how to exploit it. And so all of this seems like a bit of a downer, but it's not totally hopeless. So what you first have to remember is it's not about recreating the wheel. So you need to take team collaboration and work together. Honestly, developers aren't always thinking about what's best for security, and that's not totally their fault. As security professionals, we should be doing the heavy lifting, finding the soft spots, and creating remediation plans and ideas and taking it back with them to collaborate on how to make that better. Another idea is to centralize your APIs. If you know what you have, you know how to protect it better, and then you know what's been new and what's vetted as you discover more and more. And also, zero trust security. So we haven't been using this really on APIs, but you should map out what your APIs are and what networks they should be entering. If you tokenize it, now you can have authentication and authorization on across every boundary point. And then let's use the systems we have. Let's beef up our WAFs, our API gateways, with real-time rules to find signature-based threats, usage limits, and validate incoming messages. And don't forget about threat modeling. So it's kind of been the whole process of all of this, but use it. You need to create it, maintain it, update it, and as you discover new APIs into your system, update it again and continue to use it. So in the end, when you go back to your office, just make sure you're looking at your APIs, you look for that centralized system, you hope and pray that you have more than just a classic WAF protecting you, and then ask questions, collaborate, and then trust nothing and verify everything.
Hey everyone, my name is Cassie Parlato, and I'm really excited to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, design thinking. Design thinking is a common innovation framework, but most people don't know that you can use it in your real life too, not just at work. A little bit about me, I'm a senior product manager here in Atlanta for 10 plus years or so. I've worked at a couple big places like the Home Depot and Oracle, and also a couple smaller places, including my current one, which is Echo 360. All right, back to design thinking. So what sets it apart from other innovation frameworks is that it really hones in on the user experience and making sure that you have an intimate knowledge of their wants and needs and their behaviors. It also spends a lot more time in the prototyping and testing phase, which really ensures that you're building out the right thing. All right, lots of different companies have used design thinking successfully, and it's used not just to build out products, but also processes and experiences as well. Just a few examples for you there. But the topic of this talk today is how you can apply it to your real life, and that's one of the things I like about it the most, is how transferable it is to other disciplines. So I'm going to take you through an experience. I have a buddy, and he is stuck in a rut in life, and he's not sure what to do next, and we're going to walk him through a design thinking scenario. So meet my buddy. This is my buddy One Hand. He is a pirate in his early 40s. He's been doing it a long time. He's kind of getting tired of it. He also doesn't take joy in a lot of the same things that he used to take joy in, like pillaging and all that terrible stuff. So he wants a change, but he's not really sure what to do next, and so we're going to help him out. So we start him with an internal review, and we're just trying to dive in and find out what's the real problem going on, because this could be any which thing, right? So he sees that his love segment is pretty full. He has a fair maiden back home. He also has lots of pirate friends. But he sees that his work and his play are really far down, so he decides that, okay, this might be the area that I need the most help in, so he decides to concentrate on those. So he starts looking into those, and he realizes, oh, the work one seems to be the one that's dragging me down the most. I don't enjoy it near as much as I used to back when I was a swashbuckling pirate in my 20s, so that's what he's going to focus on. All right, he knows he wants to work on the work, but he's not really sure what to do next. He could go any which direction for his career, but he's not really sure where to start, so we're going to help him out. So we start One Hand by tracking his flow state experiences and activities that excite and energize him. He does this for a week or two, and he comes back and he says, these are the three. These are the ones that are the most exciting to me. Sword fighting, talking with merchants and ports, and bartering for goods. Okay, cool. So we take it a step further. We're going to start some mind mapping activities. He did sword fighting, and he was delighted to see on the peripheral there that coins and trading came up, which overlapped with that merchant one that he did in the previous activity. So he's starting to pull things together. All right, so we're going to do another activity with him, and that's identifying the challenges, questions, and assumptions he has about each of these different ones. And you can see a very big assumption for sword fighting is that he would win every single time. My comfort level on that, might not want to build my career off of it, but maybe he could. All right, after mixing and matching these for a while, he comes back and he says, all right, my top 3 potential career paths is a sword fighting trainer, a merchant in port, or a jeweler. Every pirate loves jewelry, right? All right, so now he's entering the prototyping and testing phase, which is really about getting in there and getting your hands dirty and making sure that you're actually doing the thing and seeing what it would be like in real life, not just something on paper. So for merchant, for example, he'll start talking to people, he'll be talking to merchants, he'll be interviewing them, finding out what it is exactly that they do. And then he's also going to volunteer to work in their shops so that he can really get that firsthand knowledge of what it's like to do each of those different potential career opportunities. And speaking of the day in the life for each of these, he really wants to make sure that he understands every single thing that they're going to need to do. Because a merchant isn't just talking to customers and finding cool products. There's a lot of back end that goes into managing that sort of career, or business, I should say. All right, so after all his brainstorming and all these different activities that he's been working on for the last few weeks, he comes back and he's like, merchant, that's the one that excites me the most and most aligns with my talents and skills. And, I think my slides got, there we go. And bonus, since he's been having all of these talks with these merchants and expanding his network while he was doing all those interviews, he actually met a merchant that he really connected with, and that guy offered him a job in one of his shops. And so now One Hand is on his new career trajectory, and he has design thinking to thank for helping him guide through that process. All right, in summary, design thinking is a framework that can be used not just at work, but in real life as well. I'll cut this short because I don't know how I am on time. And thank you so much for having me. If you have any questions, if you want to nerd out about design thinking, which I am always happy to do, you can reach out to me at cassieparlotto@gmail.com. Parlato is easier than it looks. It's just par as in golf and lotto as in lottery.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is my first time with DevOps Days, and I'm not a DevOps expert, so please bear with me. Being a data scientist and an architect, I'm close to data, which kind of fuels the DevOps and process being around it. So here I am to share some of my experiences. In today's world, everything is expected to be happening at a rapid pace. New products are expected to be delivered in a couple of weeks, deployments in a couple of weeks, hours. What am I saying? All you are DevOps experts. I'm sure most of you do it in a couple of seconds, right? Okay, I think the slide is missed. Okay. While we sprint with agility and try to keep up with timelines, oftentimes the 3 Ds, the Ds are missing here, so let me read out: data modeling, documentation, and database type may not be given the attention they deserve. Just to clarify, I'm not blaming the devs. I feel the timelines are driven top-down, and the initial requirements cost estimation still given the due diligence, but when it comes to the product delivery, we expect it to be done ASAP. So after our first D, data modeling. Data models are visual representations of various data elements and connections between them. They put data in the context of a relevant business process and aid in developing effective systems. Data modeling is foundational to backend database design. When models are built quickly, focusing on short-term needs or MVP, they fail to be extensible, calling for either continuous maintenance or upscaling of resources, such as additional computation power, resulting in increasing of costs. So to avoid this pitfall, data modeling can be done iteratively, but we always need to have the end goal or future vision rather than the short-term MVP. As a tie to business process, developing data models in collaboration with SMEs yield good results, even though this process might be time-consuming. Due diligence in data modeling has the potential to yield significant long-term benefits, such as product stability, quality, and performance. For example, if 2 products are sharing the data significantly, it's better they are collocated on the same server rather than interacting through endpoints and doing complex joins on the fly. The next important aspect that is often overlooked is documentation. One of the 4 values of Agile Manifesto is working software over comprehensive documentation. Due to the rush to complete a sprint and deliver, this is always misinterpreted as no documentation. The emphasis is inappropriately given to the software and without much documentation. Again, sorry, the descriptions are missing. So now that we all agree that documentation is important, documentation is a source. My bad. Documentation is a source of organization memory. It serves as a risk mitigator if resources on the project part waste from the organization. Opportunities to talented resources are overwhelming, and now it's even more crazy. So while we do want best people to stick with us, it's better to be prepared than sorry. So now that we all agree that documentation is important, how much should we do? Extremely comprehensive documentation will take the spirit of Agile framework away. Moreover, such documentation may confuse the developers because the content of the documents may not align with the code. Similarly, too little is also known to create issues. So what is the level of right documentation? In my experience, if there are no regulatory requirements, the documentation should be good enough to facilitate team collaboration, communication, and knowledge sharing for newly added team members, as well as onboarding new customers. Continuous updates must be part of the development spirit. In my experience, another aspect that is given less weightage is the choice of products or database types. Technology is an enabler only when chosen right. Choosing the right technology stack based on the application data needs is very important for delivery. The project teams must spend time to understand the nature of data, expected volumes, throughput, and the business process the solution is expected to enable. The product or tech stack should be chosen which is suiting to meet their needs. Simple aspects such as considering relational database for transactional needs, data warehouse for analytical and historical needs, and storing historical data for audit and compliance reasons can have a significant impact on overall performance. Segregating data based on retrieval type like long-term or short-term, as well as the structure of data would result in reduction of storage and retrieval costs, especially when we are rapidly moving to cloud. In addition to the 3Ds discussed so far, we have a hidden fourth dimension where investment can significantly benefit organizations. Data and API-driven SRE dashboards are very important these days. As the volume of data and the users consuming them increase, it becomes very easy to lose focus on the performance of the previously developed products or features, since we tend to concentrate on delivering new ones. This would result in bad user experience and can even cause churn of the loyal customers or consumers. Practicing right methods of data modeling, documentation, and database architecture determination and proactive monitoring have the potential to propel us success with agile delivery. Thank you.
There we go. This is not an educational talk. You will learn nothing here. This is fun. Unlike the GIF debacle, in which the creator went out of his way to pronounce it wrong, the Kubernetes community has embraced this lack of certainty in the key touch point to their entire ecosystem. What the hell is that? If you ask 6 people, you'll get, if you ask 3 people, you'll get 6 answers. I think we can do better than that. So let's start off. We have, of course, the easy and obvious. You split it into 2 words and you get kube, cube, QB, kube, or kube. Now, if you are above a certain age, those last 2 sounded the same. If you are below a certain age, that second one sounds like cool, babe. And looking at the second half, we have control, cuddle, cuttle, or CTL. And a couple visuals to go with most of those. So, we hash that up, mix them together, and we have 20 options. Not bad, but we can still do better. So, on to the less obvious. We have kube Bechtel. Ku Bechtel. K. Ooh, Bechtel. K, you Bechtel. But no, we're not quite done yet. Kubek, TL. Or even, finally, Kubect, L. However, there's a lot of ink spilled and pixels shifted about this topic, and we really shouldn't waste any more time on it, because this is what you should do. Because in the immortal words of Winston Churchill, ain't nobody got time for that. Now, if you have another preferred way of pronouncing that, that's fine. It's wrong, but it's fine, because this has been the definitive guide. Thank you.